Okay, I wanted to make a quick little weekly wrap-up video for Franklin. A couple things. First, I answered your email in my head only, so I apologize. So this video will accompany my response to your email from 2 days ago. And also, I don't know what it is, but I keep calling Franklin Maddie, which I believe is your name. Hopefully that's where I've manifested that from. So if I accidentally call him Maddie in the video, I'm sorry. I don't know why. He looks like a Franklin. I don't know. Anyway, okay, so I kind of wanted to just go over a little bit of what we've been doing. So, firstly, the biggest focus with all of my dogs their first week is establishing a marker system. So a marker is just a cue or a sound that marks a moment in time that I like something. And for him, that's going to announce the arrival of food. So every time he hears this word or the sound, I then present food to him. So then over time, that association is created, and then the marker takes on the good feeling of the arrival of food. So I use that to shape behavior. So he has a couple of different markers. I guess I should have much more organized before I got this video going. The main one that I've been using, the main one that I've been using for him is the word yes, and for him, because he's really easily distracted, I've been kind of doing like a yep, just to kind of be more exciting and inviting for him to want to come and take food from me. So when he hears that, yep, that means that he can come to me and get food. So that is the only criteria, is that he hears it, he comes to take something from me. He does not have to remain in behavior, anything like that. So I'm using that to shape new behaviors and create enthusiasm in doing that and continuing to do that behavior. For him especially, because he's so intrigued by everything happening around him, I've really been using that to build engagement. So the first couple of days, it was all about eye contact. So he's great with that in here. Like, he'll just stare at me and be really invested in me and wanting to do what I do. And we're starting to implement that in different environments, aka going outside, out and around, very close to the facility, but around the neighborhood. And then I'm going to branch more onto that in a minute. The other two are going to be the words good and okay. As we progress and I start really holding him accountable to certain behaviors, I would like for him to remain in that behavior until he is released out of behavior. So that way, when I tell him to do something, I want him to stay in that behavior until he hears that special word. So I use the word good to reward him in behavior, because I want him to continue in behavior. So I'm going to use that one to build duration. So if I tell him to sit or tell him down or whatever, I'll say the word good. And right now it's pretty consistently just delivering food. I want to build that history of reinforcement so that he's learning to expect it. And that way, when we get into a little bit more advanced situations and he starts breaking behavior or not going into the behavior that I'm looking for, and I'm withholding food, he's wondering why there is lack of food, so that he can offer new behaviors or try a little harder or whatever. And then the word okay means he can come up out of behavior. So, for instance, Franklin, place, good. I will use the word good to reward him for behavior, good, or rewarding him to going into that behavior, good. I'm saying the word good, and then I'm reaching in, good, and then presenting that food. And then when I'm ready for him to come out of behavior, okay, I let him come up out of behavior. Eventually these will be more of a neutral marker, meaning sometimes he gets reinforcement from it, sometimes he doesn't. The word yes will always be followed with food or some form of reward for him, just to keep its value. Okay, so going back to what I was talking about, the yes marker. When we're out walking and doing all that good stuff, I'm really trying to help him find more value in me than his surroundings, to help shape a better heel, a better just low-key heel. He doesn't have to be staring at me the entire time, but what I found is as soon as we get outside, his nose is to the ground. He's just totally disengaged from me, and starts pulling and dragging and just kind of disengaging. And what I've been doing is, I'll kind of help him get into a heel. Let's go. This is going to be the command I use. And then, nope, you're not going under that. So I'm using leash pressure, good, to help guide him into the behavior that I want. So when he's where I need him to be, good, there is slack in the leash tension. And then when he's breaking behavior, moving too far ahead of me, or dropping his head down to the ground, I'm applying leash pressure. It's working to an extent, but I'm finding that he's willing to deal with a lot of pressure before moving away from it. So before I get into that, what I'll do is if he drops his head to the ground, I just apply pressure upwards towards me. And as soon as he moves his head back up and looks at me, like right here, he's doing this thing. Yep. I will reward that. I'll use that yes to reward him. Good boy. So let's go. Yep. I want to, good boy. Yep. I want him to find value in checking in with me and looking up at me. So I'm going to really embellish that now. And then at some point I'll kind of fade that out a little bit. But again, he's able to deal with a lot of pressure. So I believe you were the one that in your questionnaire you were saying that you would like to avoid a prong collar. It might be something that I try with him. I haven't yet. And I just kind of wanted to explain the prong collar a little bit, just to kind of alleviate any concern. So the reason that I ever use prong collars is because of the clarity that they provide. So yes, they do work through discomfort. Discomfort does not need to, it shouldn't be synonymous with pain. Like I don't want to cause him any pain or anything like that. But enough, can't talk, annoyance to where he's wanting to turn that pressure off. So again, with the slip lead or a flat collar, he's willing to deal with a lot of pressure, like practically choking himself out before responding to it. Dogs naturally resist pressure, so I'm trying to show him that when he moves away from or moves into the pressure and creates slack, that there's a lot of value in that. Good boy. And it's just a little bit of a lag of time with this type of tool. So I found that with a prong collar, because of the level of discomfort, I'm able to apply significantly less pressure, so just like enough of with just these two fingers for them to like, oh, I want to turn that off, and then I can right away switch over to reward. So that is why I like the tool. I think they have their bad rep because they're metal collars and they look scary, like they're stabbing your dog. That's not the case at all. It's not the same force that you're using. I mean, you could potentially use the same force, but most dogs, if they're taught properly how to move into pressure and turn it off, you really don't need any pressure at all. It's just a little bit extra level of saying, hey, fix your positioning. So I found that it's more humane than a slip lead where he's choking himself out and cutting his air supply off. So yes, that is this right here, or a flat collar or anything where he's like walking on his hind legs or dragging and like choking himself out. That is a lot of discomfort, but it's at a dull, lagging sense to where they're not, he's not thinking ahead like, oh, if I don't stop pulling, my air supply is going to be shut off and I'm going to pass out. He doesn't know that that's what that leads up to. And so typically when they start pulling, we give them their air supply back. So we're rewarding through release of pressure at an inopportune time. So it's desensitizing him to that pressure and teaching him to deal with more and more and more and more until he's a super dog and is just dragging you around, which he's doing. So I haven't committed to the prong collar because I know that you don't like it, but I just kind of wanted to go over it a little bit so that if I do need to use it, I will let you know, and I will give videos of how he does with that. And if it's something where he does panic and does not like it, then I will totally discontinue its use. But it would be something that I think is a little bit better of an option for him. I don't use prong collar on every dog. Some dogs, they don't need it. Some dogs, the slip lead is just enough, and I think that it's going to be just a little bit of an edge to where when he starts to disengage from me, I can bring him back to me and we can stop fighting and move on to a little bit more of a clear picture of what I'm looking for and get him quicker to the more rewarding type of, the more motivational type stuff. So I think with just this, we're gonna be really stuck in this environment of just gradually every like little bit, like going into new environments and adding distractions, whereas with a prong collar, I think we can kind of progress a little quicker and actually start to work on stuff with other dogs around, other people around, and just create more clarity for him so that he's more confident with what he's supposed to be doing. I think that's the biggest goal, is him having a light bulb moment where he's like, oh, you just want me to not sniff the ground and drag you around. Fair enough. So I'll keep you updated with that. Otherwise, he's doing really, really great. He's super food motivated. We're starting to name behaviors. I'm not going to share that stuff just yet. I know that's what you want, is to start doing all this stuff at home. The reason that I don't send like a lot of homework home initially is because of the way that I'm rewarding things. I want to reward everything that I like, and kind of persuade against things that I don't like. I have the luxury of doing that because it's my job and that's what you're paying me to do, whereas at home, that's going to be a little bit trickier because there's so many more opportunities for him to make those mistakes with you. So it's already going to be a big deal, and once training's complete, of, hey, these are all these new behaviors, you have to now mold them over everything that he's already found his way of life doing at home. So I don't want to make that more hard for you, or harder. I don't want to make that harder for you. So I'll definitely give some homework soon. If you want to start enforcing his markers using that, the yes, yep, all of that stuff, when you go to feed him, that will certainly help my case if he's associating at home as well. Those markers bring on good food. So when you go to put his food bowl down, or you're hand feeding him, whatever you're doing, you'll say yep, and then offer him. Yeah, I know, you'll offer him his food. So that will just help me out a lot by strengthening his markers at home. If you are doing stuff with him, like let's say you wanted him to do a little obedience for you to earn his meal, you could tell him to sit, and then good, give him his couple handfuls of his kibble, good, and just strengthen that behavior, start moving around. So this is what I'm doing. I'll put him in a sit, and then I'll kind of get him used to me moving around because he hasn't heard the other marker, the release marker. If he does come up out of behavior, nope, I offer that nope, good. And then I'll put him back into behavior, say good, to show him that I like that he fixed it, good. You just dance, and that's all I do all day long is dance. My micro moves. Good. He judged me a little bit just there. Okay. Yeah, super. Good boy. Good jumpies. Good job. All right. Let me find the thing.